Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to try run the algorithm that we developed in the last tutorial for checking whether an input expression is valid in terms of brackets or not. As you can see, I have taken an input expression and I'll go through the algorithm and we'll see how the algorithm works to check whether this expression is valid or not. We have also taken a stack there, and I'll recommend you to take your pen and paper and go with me with this write run process. So as you can see that this while loop is going to iterate as long as there is an element in the expression. So we'll actually iterate until we reach to the end of the string. Now in case of C programming language, we have the null at the end of the string, so we can easily detect that. And if you are doing Java or something else, there are procedures to detect whether you have reached the end of the string or not. So actually we'll be running until we reach the end of the expression. So we are entering into the while loop. Next char is the next character of the input expression, and that is actually the square bracket, as you can see. Now here we are checking whether we have encountered any of the opening brackets, whether it is opening parenthesis or opening square curly brace or opening square bracket. So it is indeed opening square bracket. So what we are doing, we are just pushing this square bracket into the stack. So let me just push that into the stack. Now we'll not go to the else if part because this if has been true, so we are not going here. So we'll actually come here at the end of the while, and then we'll iterate back to the while again. Now again, since we have not reached the end of the expression, so again we'll enter it to the while loop and we'll get the next character there. So now the next character is 2, as you can see. Now if we get anything apart from the opening or closing brackets, we'll just skip. As you can see, this next character is right now 2, and it is neither the opening brackets, this check fails, also it is not the closing brackets. So we again go to the end of while and we'll iterate back to the while again. So if it is not an opening bracket or closing brackets, so we are just going to skip. We are not doing anything then. So we'll actually skip the times operator as well. Now when we come here, then we get the opening curly brace as our next character. So now this is, as you can see, it is true. So the character that we get in next character is actually opening curly brace. So we are going to push it into the stack. So the idea is if you are getting either of the opening brackets, you just need to push into the stack. So we are pushing this opening curly brace here into the stack. And then again, we are iterating back to the while loop. And we actually will skip the rest, the next 5 and minus sign there. As you can see, we have next this 5, it will be skipped, this minus will be skipped, then we will actually process the opening parenthesis there just before 3. So we are here, again we are entering into this while loop and we get the next character as opening parenthesis. Again it will be pushed because this next character is opening parenthesis and this is true. Okay, so we are going to push this into the stack. So we have opening parenthesis at the top of the stack right now. So let me go ahead with the processing. Now the next character that we get from the expression is 3. As you can see, it is 3. It will be skipped. We are not going to do anything with the minus either. And then 2, it will also be skipped. Then we come here and first time we get a closing parenthesis, a closing bracket. Now see what happens there. When we come here, we get closing parenthesis there in the next char variable. Now is it either of the opening brackets? No, it's not. So we are coming here in the else if part, and this checking is true now. It is closing parenthesis. So we are entering here within this if, else if at line number 7. We are checking whether the stack is empty. Now if you are getting a closing parenthesis or closing curly brace or closing bracket and the stack is empty, then obviously you don't have an opening match corresponding to this closing bracket. So obviously that's going to be an error. So that's why we are checking this at the very beginning. When we are getting a closing bracket, we are first checking whether the stack is empty or not. Had the stack empty, then obviously we are turning the error to true and we are breaking the while because we got an error. But this time the stack is not empty. This is empty is false. So we are coming here at line number 10. So this else if is actually going to check whether the stack top contains the corresponding opening match of this closing bracket. So as you can see, this is opening match function that we need to write while we implement this algorithm using programming language. I am actually guessing that this function is there. And this function, the task of this function is to match whether a closing bracket is having its corresponding opening parenthesis or not. If it is having the corresponding opening parenthesis at the top of the stack, then it's going to return true, otherwise false. For this case, stack of stack is right now opening parenthesis, and the next char is closing parenthesis. So this is opening match is going to return true for this case. So what we are going to do, we are going to just pop this stack, because we get a match there. We get the closing bracket and the corresponding opening match is there on the top of the stack. So it is satisfying the condition. So we are just popping the stack. So this top of the stack gets popped, and we are just moving the top down by 1. The top will be decremented with the pop operation. And we are done with this processing. I mean, the closing parenthesis has been processed successfully. Then we move ahead with the while loop. This slash is going to be skipped. This 6 is going to be skipped. Then what we get is a closing parenthesis there, closing curly bracket there. Okay, so here we go. Now when we get this closing curly bracket, again, this if is going to be true, right? As we have this here. Now is the stack is empty? No, it is not. We come to the else part, and this time this is opening match will work again. Now stack top contains the opening curly brace, and as you can see, the stack, we get this next char as closing curly brace. So again, this is going to return true. So we are going to pop the stack once more, and obviously this time this top of the stack that contains the closing opening parenthesis will be popped. So the top gets decremented once more, and we come here. Okay, let's move ahead and see how we can do the rest of the processing. So next we get this minus that will be skipped. Then we get this 5 that will be skipped. We'll be iterating in the while loop without doing anything. We'll be just moving forward. And then when we get this closing square bracket, then again we come here, and the stack is not empty, as you can see. So this will be false. So we come here, is opening match. The stack top contains this opening square bracket, and we have currently that closing square bracket there in next underscore char. So again, this is true, and it's going to pop the stack. So the stack is going to become empty right now because we are popping that stack right now. So here we go. We are decrementing the top by 1. So the top goes here at -1, and we are done. I mean, in the next iteration, we'll move here. So this not end of the expression, that's going to be false. We indeed come to the end of the expression. So we'll come out of the while loop here. So not error. As you can see, we had that error variable there initialized with false, right? So if we encounter any error during the processing, during the checking, then we are going to turn it to true. So during the processing of this particular input expression, we have not found any kind of error there. So until so up to this point, the error is false. So here, not error, it's actually error is false. So not error is true, no error is there. And is the stack is still empty? I mean, if the stack is not empty, then we still have some excess brackets there. So that's the sense. So we are checking if after going to the end of the string, still the stack is empty or not. If the stack is not empty, then we are again turning the error to true. We have some excess brackets which doesn't have any corresponding closing brackets. So in this case, the error will still remain false, and we will actually move to the next, and will print successfully that the given expression is actually well formed. As you can see, this error is actually false. So we'll go to the else part here, and we'll print that the input expression is well formed. So that's how the algorithm works. I'll take another one when we have some faulty expression. Let me take another one, a faulty one, and again we'll try run and see how that fault is detected by this algorithm. So let's move ahead with another example, a faulty one. Okay, let's move ahead with this faulty example. I mean, this input expression is bad in terms of brackets. As you can see that we have this opening parenthesis here, and a corresponding closing parenthesis is not there. It's closing curly brace. So it's going to be detected by our algorithm. So let's move ahead and see how this works. We have this error false, and we enter into the while loop, and we get the opening square bracket there. So it will be pushed into the stack. So we push this into the stack, and then we iterate again in the while loop. Minus, it will be skipped, 7 skipped times skipped. Then we have this opening curly brace that will be pushed. Then we have this minus skipped, 5 skipped, then minus skipped, then 3 skipped, then this slash that will be skipped again. We have this opening parenthesis that will be pushed. Now we have this 8, again all these things will be skipped, and when we have this closing curly brace here, we come here in this else if part. Now this is important. See how this is going to detect the error. So next char is closing curly brace. We go inside that else if. Now the stack is not empty, that's false. Is empty stack is false, so we come here. Now is opening match, it will actually match the stack top, that is opening parenthesis, with the current value in the next char, that is closing curly brace. So it's going to be false. Now this is opening match is going to return false. So this else if is not going to work. So we come to this else part, and we'll just turn on true to error. We'll assign true to error, and we'll break the while. So we'll come out of that while here, and error is true, so not true is false. So we are not going to do this. So error is true. That means it's going to print that the expression is not well formed in terms of brackets. I'll take another one. This time it's going to be something that is going to actually work here. It will check whether the stack is empty or not, and we'll see that we have some closing brackets and the stack is empty, and that will detect that situation. Let's go ahead with that example. Okay, let us take this one. As you can see, this is actually wrong in terms of brackets. Here we have this curly brace, that closing curly brace, that doesn't have any corresponding opening curly brace, so it's going to be detected by our algorithm. Let's see how that works. So here we go, and we come inside the while. Next char is opening parenthesis here, so we push this into the stack. All these things are going to be skipped. Then we have this closing. When we have this closing parenthesis, we come here, and the stack is not empty, right? So we come here, and the stack top contains opening parenthesis, and we have this closing parenthesis here in the next char, so it will be popped. So we have the pop here, so it gets deleted from the stack. Again, we move ahead. We are not going to do anything with these operators and operands. So when we get this closing curly brace, now see carefully. So the next character is closing curly brace. That is correct. Is the stack empty? Yes, it is indeed. The stack is empty. So it's going to turn the error to true, and we'll break the while loop. So we come here. So yes, we detected some error there. So not error is false. We are not going to do this. And since the error is true, so it's going to print the bracket. The expression is not well formed in terms of brackets. Okay, so that's how this is going to be detected. So I will just recommend you to take more examples from your mind and go through with this algorithm, so that will make you more comfortable with this algorithm. Thank you very much for watching. In the next tutorial, we will go ahead and implement this algorithm.